So Sicha of the Rebbe on Tazria. So we have in Tazria, we see that the Mitzayra, it's the rees of the Naga of the Mitzayra. So we have to see it in order to say if this is actually a Nega Tameh or not. So it has to be done through a Chacham, and a Amma Aretz can't say whether it's Tameh or not. He will teach you, and he will be a Boki in all the types of Nagayim and their names, and the Nagai Adam, all of them. You'll have to be a Boki in, and the afflictions of the clothes and of the houses, and the Chacham is not chayiv to be Davka a Kohen, but everybody's kosher to see the Nagayim. Everyone's kosher to be a Tamil Chacham. Everyone's kosher to posken on the Nega, on the Tzaras, if it is Tameh or Tahor. However, the Tuma and the Tahor is Tului b'Kohen. Is actually get the Chalata of a Kohen. So someone says, oh yeah, this is Tameh, but it's not Tameh until the Kohen says, based on the word of the Chacham, it's Tameh. So even after the Chacham is fixing that is the Negatame. The Chacham said it's Negatame. The Menuga is not Nitma. It still stays Tahor until the Kohen says, Tameh. Ata, here's some brackets. Not sure exactly what's going on there. The Chen Legabe Torah, also when he comes Tahor, even though the Acher Adam or the Beged get healed from the Nega. And if they stay in the Tuma until the Kohen says, Tahorata, you are Tahor. So it's Tali in what the Kohen says. But the Kohen could be a complete Amaretz, and he needs to, so he can ask the Chacham, can tell him what the din is. But the Chacham telling the Kohen doesn't have a change in the din. It's only once the Kohen says that it's the din, that's when it actually changes. So the mir of the Kohen is the tenai, that it's the condition that stops the kavias of the tum and the tahor, even when the Kohen doesn't know anything, he doesn't know how to see, he doesn't know what he's looking at. Even if the Kohen is a cotton or a shaita, the shaita doesn't have any das, so the cotton and the shaita have no das. It's saimech on the Divrei Chacham. The Chacham tells him this is Tameh. Say it's Tameh. He says it's Tameh. Now it's Tameh. But before the Kohen says it's Tameh, it's not. A Chacham sees it and says to him, say it's Tameh. The Kohen says Tameh, or he says it's Tahor. So we have to understand. If the Kohen ben kach is going to the Chacham, then why do we need the Miras Kohen? Because Davka, it's the Chacham really we're listening to. What's this pantomime we're using the Kohen here for? And what's the miyuchad betumas tzaras? What's so special about tzaras? Specifically with this tuma, kavos the Torah chiddush there. This chiddush is that the tuma and the Torah is tuli b'Kohen. Why is this tameh? You got all the tameis. It's other Torah tameis. It's got a din to it. Here, we need the Kohen. Whatever the Kohen says. However, that's the gzeres hakosov. Gzeres hakosov kacha. That's what God wants. But we know from the Rambam that even the Chukei Torah, which are the Gezerus, then all this, it is fitting to understand them, and all what you are able to ten lotam, whatever you're able to give some type of flavor to it, to give it. So yes, you'll never understand Torah, we can't understand anything, but you bloody well try. Ubamiyuchad tam shekosher, and specifically the time that the tikkun of the Deus, like the words the Rambam, that the Roiv Dini Torah Eino Ela Eitzos. It's just that the Torah is giving you advice how to live a good life. L'taken Hadeus, to fix your das and to yashar, to make straight all your deeds. When the Lashon Pasuk, he commanded Hashem all the chukim to fear God. The whole Torah, the Torah is here to fear God. That's what this is about. So therefore, if everything is just chukim, we cannot understand anything. So then we're never going to come to Yiras Hashem, because it's like, what? Base. A chiddush ha'ikri b'Torah. That the tum and the Torah is tuli b'Kohen. This is the chiddush. It's eino mitzvah. It doesn't come out b'pashtus. Only the Torah is of the Mitzayra. In the ikr, that the Kohen metamisim. It's not only how he metaris, but also how he metamisim, because the taharis of the Mitzayra is able to be only after that is tumas mitzaris lifneken, that he can only become tahor once he's tamei beforehand, and then lechein leishlomer. The avoda shetahiros and mitzayra to lebekohen. So the whole of the avoda that the tahir is on the kohen, it is a coming out from that the tuma is to lebekohen. That's to say, Kevin Tuma, it's fixed only by what the Kohen says. Therefore, also the Tahira from the Tuma, that is also able to be done davka through the words of the Kohen. And if so, then it's also something more difficult to understand. If the Chiddush is in the Kesher of the Tahira, it's understandable why it's based davka on the Kohen, because the Kahuna is Kashur Lematzav Shel Tahira. The Kahuna is connected to Tahira, because this is fixed in the halacha that the Kohen is also to become Tameh. Therefore, Davka the Kohanim Mashpeim Tahir Yisrael. So specifically the Kohanim that are giving the hashpah and giving the flow of Tahor to Israel. But why Davka the Kohen will bring through this that he will be Tameh? So he gives a simple idea that the Tahor, I understand that comes from the Kohen, because the Kohen, he is warned about staying Tahor. So the Kohanim, Stama, are more Tahor than your average Jew, therefore they bring the Tahor to the rest of the place. But why the Tameh? So Gimel, Yesh Loimer She'achad, one of the ways to understand it is that the Tumah of the Mitzayra, Moitzim Chumra, comes with a Chumra that it doesn't come in any other type of Chumra. What is this Chumra? Badad Yeshem Mechus Lemachana Moshevo, that they will sit alone. And people were talking about this during Corona, that everyone has to go into isolation. We hear this Mitzayra, he has to go out from all the old Machanas, and his Moshevo, where he will dwell, will be completely outside. The Tameh is sent out from the three Machanos. And he will also there, he will stay. While he's there, he will be alone. Even though he's outside, even there, outside he has to be alone. That he will not, other Tamaim will not going to sit with them. So you have this place, everyone's kicked out to the netherworlds, but even in the netherworlds, you can't hang out with anybody. You got to be alone. And the Mekayim of the Mitzayra is even the Chutz Machaneh Shel Tamaim Acherim. So it's like another camp, but he's outside. He can't even be with these other Tameis. As the understanding of the ruchnius of the tumas of the tzaros, that the tumas of Chumra is so machmir that because of it, the tumah man, that when he is fixed outside the machane hakadusha, that's as if his menutak. It's like he's cut off. Rachmana litzlan, chas v'chalila, from the Shechina of Yisrael, the holy nation. So he can't be a part of anybody. He has to be on his own. He's not allowed to join in with anybody. So it's like he's cut off. Therefore, the Torah says, Sharak Kohen Rashai, only the Rashai Kohen is allowed to cut off this Jew. Because once you make somebody a Mitzayra, the Tumah is so bad that it's like he's cut off from the whole Klal Yisrael, so therefore only the Kohen is able to do that. Because the Mahos of the Kohen, what is the essence of the Kohen? It's Levarech es Amo Yisrael Be'ava. It said you bless the people of Israel with Ava. That is the essence of the Kohen. And the Kohen is the Ish Chesed, that he blesses Israel and with Ava, as it's known. I think this Kuyadua, that if the Kohen, the Halacha Pesuka, is that if the Kohen doesn't like somebody in the Kehillah, he can't do Birkas Kohanim. If he doesn't love everyone in the Kehillah, then he can't do the Birkas Kohanim. So it's based on the Ahava. And that's the Tanai, Hakriyah B'Brachas Kohanim, this Chayiv Leheosos B'Ahava. It has to be done with Ahava. And if it's missing any of these conditions, then by the Kohen who's blessing, Chas v'Chalila, that the Kohen would not be loving the whole Kahila, then it's a Sachana Avaro, is creating this danger. And Davka, because of the Kohen is an Ish Chesed, the Soimech HaTorah Rachalav, so we're relying only on him for the Kevias of the Psak by the Jew, that we're going to cut him off from the Kehillah, cut him off from other Jews, Chas v'Chalila, because this is understood that how the apostle continues, a Kohanim, and then Hashem chose to serve him and to bless in God's name, and on Pihem Yeh Kol Riv Kol Nega. So through the Kohanim you will have all the Maklokasim, all the fights, and all the Nega, and all the plagues. And specifically because of Hashem chose to bless in the name of Hashem, and on through them it will be Kol Nega. So that that because God chose them, that's why the Nega comes through them. Because they have that Ish Chesed and the Ahava, so therefore when it comes to cutting someone off, then they are the ones that need to do it. Vadai, Vavadai. It needs to be a Kavias of the Kohen, Musavim Rak al Torah. Everything has to be through the Torah, and therefore it needs to be the Rayas and Nega Leheosos Baroshu Barshon Alidei Chacham B'Chachmas Torah. So the Kohen can't just come in here, this Kohen Kotan or this Kohen Amaharis, he doesn't know what he's doing, and even though he is this Ish Chesed, and he is the Ahava, and he loves all of you. You can't just come in and give the Pesach. It has to be Musar in the Torah. Therefore, the Talmud Chacham has to come first, and the Baki and all the Nagoyim Asher Kabal Zos Mipi Rabo, so that you have the Talmud Chacham first lays the work, so that the Torah is the Yesod, and then the Kohen and the Ahava comes on top of the Yesod of the Torah. Akadei, to have this psak din lemaisa, you need to have dafka the Kohen. So it's not enough to have the Talmud Chacham. So Isha Chesed, the Chesed has to come in order to have that psak, because specifically who chash b'chumra harbe shel hoitzeh psak din kazeh. Because once you understand this psak din and what it means, that you're basically cutting off a Jew, that this is carries, this is the worst thing that you can get, and like the Jew is doing it himself. It's a different type of carries, but he's cutting him off. So only once you understand this in the Ish Chesed, and therefore you can have the empathy of the Chumrah Harbe on this, through another Jew, and because of this, he will not be, so through all his strength, he will have chas on the Jew, and he will be choker, he will do checking out, and he will do a drasha, and we'll see by the Chacham for this Pesach Din of Torah, and he will be awakened at the inyan of the Saptu Ha'eda Ve'etzilu Ha'eda, that you judge them and you will save them. And that's not just about coming in. Well, the Chacham said that it's Tameh. He said, well, that's not enough, because the Chacham isn't the Ish Chesed. So comes the Ish Chesed, who's the Kohen, and he looks into the din, and he sees if he can save the Jew. So to know that Kavai Ein Chacham Kebal HaNisoyin, Shekasher Loim Dim Inyan Misuyam Mitoch Yediyah, so when you learn something through knowing it properly, Shalem Dizeh Noves Chorah, so when you know it so well, then the teachings just flow out of it, and Pesak Din Lemaisa. From the depths, yoiter, through the work, rav, until you reach until the emes of what the matter is. And therefore, after the effort and the chakira and the drisha, that's the Kohen is coming in, the Ish Chesed, and because before he's doing this Pesak Din of Tameh, Harei Zabur is clear that is the Pesak Din of Mitishol Torah. So once the Kohen, he's told that it's Tameh, but the Kohen ain't going to rush to do this, and he's going through all the Chakiras, and he's checking out, and he's doing the Drishas, and he's making sure that there's no way that the Ish Chesed is going to cut off this Jew if there's any way to save him, and therefore when it comes out, then it has to be a Pesak Emes of Torah. And together with this, you can trust that the Kohen will be involved in the matter with all his koach, in order that it will be after this the tahira of the mitzvah. So through the Kohen going into the tamei, and only being able to metame him through the emes Torah and all the effort he's putting in, so therefore you can be sure this will come out as well when he matars the mitzvah. And therefore we'll learn a halacha berura in Daled that we see by a Jew that he has something that's lacking. Rahman al-Islam. He's not doing right. He doesn't do something, or he doesn't have a midah. He doesn't do a mitzvah. He's not doing something. Akadekach, so much so that it appears that this guy is found in the such a low level, and that he brings himself out from the klal. So everybody is going on Tisha B'Av to Shul and sits on the ground, and this guy doesn't. It's not fitting chas v'chalila to be b'toch Machane Yisrael. So the guy, he's lacking something, and he's not fitting to be amongst the Jews. The Torah says, even the Chacham Gadol Baki B'Kol Torah Kula, you have the Gadol Hadar. And because his Shikol Das and Chachma Torah is fitting to be psak of Mechus L'Machna Meshuvah, because he's the Gadol Hadar, he knows the Torah, he's the Amkus, and everybody, the whole generation is not close to his Amkus and his depth and his knowledge of Torah, and he can see that this guy is worthy to be cut off from the Jews and sit outside and not be part of the Jewish people. So what does the Torah say? Before you kick him out, before you kick anybody out, any Jew, you're chayiv to check out himself well. What is the matzav and the midah, the chezer re'ava Yisrael? And even if you have the din, you have the Pesak Din, you have the Gadol Hador, if you don't have the Chesed and the Ahavas Yisrael, so therefore it does, and there is no din. That is not the emes of the Torah, and it's not the correct din. And if the Ahavas Yisrael, that the true Ahavas is not being ruled by him, Chas v'Chalila, so that this person who is giving this big Tamei Chacham, who's giving the psak to cut somebody off and say that this Jew is a terrible person, Chas v'Chalila, this person, we need to stay away from him, this person is not worthy, this Jew, what are we going to do? We're going to cut him off, we're going to say, how dare he do that, he's not part. When you say those things, if the Ahavas Yisrael, the true Ahavas Yisrael, is not ruling over you while you're saying these things, then you have no tzedakah klal, like to fix this psak on any other Jew. And it's possible that the kaviyah is not coming from the Shikol Hadas of the Torah alone, Eila from the midos that are not completely clarified and worked out in the person. And therefore when you see somebody screaming to say how bad another Jew is, you can understand that this is not coming from the Torah. Even if he'll give you 50 reasons in the Torah and 50 proofs in the Torah that what he's saying is right. But it's coming from the midos that are not so purified, and he hasn't completely worked himself out, so he's putting all his danger and all his rubbish on somebody else. The Torah is fixing that the nega alone, it doesn't come out of the tumah, but it's fixed through the Kohen, the ish chesed, tamayata, only through chesed and ahava, and that's fixed through the tumah mitzayir. So it doesn't come from a tamachachim, it doesn't come from the gadol hador, it doesn't come from the leaders of political parties, it doesn't come from these people, it comes from the ish chesed, and it comes from the ahavas Yisrael. It comes from this, that somebody who is not a Kohen, who's not an ish chesed, and he is koveya by another Jew to go mechutz me'al machna that he kicks him out, he won't call him up to the Torah. He is saying davar sheker. This is not Torah. This is davar sheker. This is something that is outside of the Torah, and therefore it's a mitzayra. Moitzi Shemra. So therefore the person who is saying he's kicking this Jew is not worthy to be amongst us. I'm not giving this Jew a call up. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. This person has to stay away from us. I'm not going to marry the person. This whole sect is deserve whatever. So what they're doing, it's sheker because that's not in the Torah, and therefore that person himself is the mitzayra, and he's a moitzi shemra on Klal Yisrael. And as Chazal say on the pasuk, this is the Torah of the mitzayra. This will be the Torah of the moitzi shemra. The mitzayra is the moitzi shemra. You can see it in the letters there, moitzi shemra. Lo zubovad. It's not only this that he was speaking lashon hara on another Jew. Chas v'chalila. Asher lashon hara he afal pi she'omer emes. The lashon. What is lashon hara? Lashon hara is you're talking truth. But through this will be given the oynish of Nagoyim, because the Jew who's saying that the other Jew is not worthy to be and he has to be kicked out. He has to be separate. He can't be part of us. He has to be different. We're not going to accept him. And this is given the oynish of Nagoyim to that person who's claiming this other Jew, because that's not the way of the Torah, because he did not include the Kohen. The Tzaras. Ela hu af moitzi shemer, even the moitzi shemer says sheker al chaveru. Uma tekona, how do you fix this? He will sit alone. To the machane mushovo. Every kolod lo yargil et asma, the whole time that he doesn't a ragil to make do multiple times himself to see on the Jew to the ayin toiva. So he sits by himself. Yes, the person himself who's saying that another Jew is bad, he needs to sit by himself outside because he's got the tzaros. He's the one who needs to sit outside, and then through bidding on his own, then he can start to understand how to see another Jew with love. Alav lahavdil as asma. Now he has to separate himself from the Jews achirim. He has to do it to himself, to not be pogei b'hem b'dover lashon hara b'hoitzi shemra, because while he's amongst the Jews, that he is going to afflict Jews with Mutzi Shemra and Lashon Hara. So therefore this person who is coming out against other Jews, he's the one who needs to remove himself, and he shouldn't be with the Jewish people, so he can clarify and perfect his midas to go with his tremendous Torah. And only when he will be healed from this nega, then he will v'shavarafolo, he'll be healed. And through this ahavas Yisrael, that's true. And oifen shel ahavas chinam. You have this level. It's not sinas chinam, it's havas chinam. Just love the Jew. It's a bottle the goyim legalos mitvatel hagoyim legalos sinas chinam. So the havas chinam will mevatel the sinas chinam, and therefore that will mevatel the galos. Shenikras had tzareya, because the sinas chinam is the cause of the tzareya, and then it will come through the geula hamitit and the shlema through the Mashiach tzekenu mimher v'menu amen. So you can tell by what the rhetoric of the Jew is when they're in public. Do they speak of ahavas chinam, or they speak of how people have to improve themselves, and people are bad, and people are not doing the right thing, and we need to separate ourselves from them. These people are bad and we're good, and if that's what they're saying, so they don't have this ahavas chinam, they're still stuck in the sinas chinam. It's not right to listen to them, and it's fitting for those people to sit outside and clarify their midos to go with their Torah.